That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom, if you think about it. And knowledge builds the ego and wisdom humbles.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
There will still be the journey.
The journey.
New sheriff in town, and his name is the journey.
Journey.
This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is the journey.
The journey.
What is it that moved you?
The journey. The journey. The journey. The journey.
Welcome back to another episode of The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson, and today we have a real Memphis icon. But first, before we get to him, we got a quote. And this quote really hit me right between the eyes. And it goes like this: success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you will be successful. That comes from the great Nobel Peace Prize philosopher, physician, theologian, Albert Schweitzer. So listen, a true Memphis son who's built his first company while in college. He's a past president of SHRM Memphis, one of the largest HR chapters in the country. He's president of an HR company called HRO Partners, known for infusing innovation into HR. He's an entrepreneur, Eagle Scout, father, mentor. I mean, this dude is bad. So without further ado, we got to bring him in. My brother and friend, Austin Baker.
Thank you for having me.
How are you, sir, man? Good. I'm so honored to have you here, man. I mean, we've had so many conversations and whatnot. So now we get to kind of record them for posterity.
That's great. Well, our heart's always full when we have a chance to connect. So it's great to take time with you today. Thank you for having me.
So let's go back, way before Houston High. Let's go back early years. What's that early memory of Austin Baker, family, household, and all of that?
The earliest memories really go back to being on the farm, having that farm work ethic infused at an early age in Cordova when they were still...
Farm in Cordova?
Farm in Cordova, believe it or not. Besides the Agri Center, there are other farms out here.
Really?
Yeah, from my Eagle Scout project, I did a documentary on Cordova, Farms, Flowers, and Fellowship, and talked to the old residents.
Wait a minute, hold on. Cordova had farms.
They did. They're flowers and flower farming community primarily, and eggs. So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So go back farm.
So yeah, I mean, being on the farm, growing up, and having chores early in the morning. Having a chance to take care of all manner of animals. The cows would always get out when my dad would go out of town, and I'd be the man of the house to get them back in. But it was a great upbringing, having a chance to do that. Went to Houston High School because they didn't have high schools out here then.
Okay, now we're going to go back early years.
Early
I'm talking about Austin's earliest memories. Like, okay, dad's there, mom's there, sisters, brothers. What's that look like? And what's that earliest memory?
I think on the farm we always had a list of to-dos, but for fun we'd build go-kart track in the fields, and we'd race go-karts. We would run around the orchard and pick up rotten fruit to throw at each other, just cutting it up and just hide and seek type stuff, and having big old bonfires. I remember having bonfires and having friends out there to just celebrate in the fall, and haunted hay rides. Oh. It was a really, really rich upbringing in terms of just family and community.
Okay. Sure. Outside of your parents, who had the biggest influence on young Austin?
I think that having a chance to spend time with one of my friend's father and in a retreat center at St. Columba Conference Center, which is up in Bartlett, Millington area, there was a monk that lived up there. And I took care of the monk for about a year of my life, actually, lived out there. Just taking time with, taking a lot of time to take care of him and the property. Right. But his father was a kind of a second father to me and an early mentor, and really helped shape my worldview as broader and richer, and gave me a great spiritual center to who I am. Okay. And it was very impactful for me.
How has mentors been in your life? How has mentors impacted your life?
It's changed everything. I didn't know what to call them early on. As they were entering my life and helping to keep me out of the ditch sometimes, or just give me a word of wisdom to make a decision. But each one teach one has a lot of merit, and having mentors that have helped me on my journey, helped me, kind of lean into the University of Memphis, lean into building mentoring programs there, and and really became a big part of my life work.
Okay. Okay. You started your first company at University of Memphis, right?
That's right. Yeah.
How did, what decisions and risk and things like that, and how did that set your path? How has that impacted your path today? Because you had to take risk early, with being an entrepreneur early. So how did that work? Or how does it impact you today?
Well, a risk today versus then is, I consider it differently. It's one thing when you have commitments and children and college to pay for, but people kind of talk about generations and how they're different. A lot of times it's really stages of life. And so think about a stage of life when you don't have as many financial commitments that have saddled you yet, and having a chance to take a risk on yourself and figure things out was a blessing to me early on.
Okay.
My father told me the best helping hand was at the end of your own arm.
Okay.
And you need to learn how to use those hands to build what would you want to build. And so taking a lot of time from him and other people that taught me what to do and how to do it, it made a huge difference in my life.
Okay. Okay. As a young man, we always dream and, sit back in our beds, looking up in the sky and thinking about who we want to be. Who did Austin dream he wanted to be as a young person? And how far are you from that vision?
I mean, I've had a chance I think I've lived several lifetimes in some ways.
Oh, yeah?
And it's beautiful in different chapters. Having a chance to live your dreams as much as you are willing to be bold enough to write them down.
Right.
So I've actually had a practice of writing myself letters every year for my birthday and for New Year's that I open a year later. And so every year I have 2 letters that I've written to myself, and it's the best form of time travel I've found. And so if you're willing to write down your dreams and you're writing into existence, you'd be surprised how many letters you open that you have things you've already accomplished.
Wow. Wait a minute. You write yourself a letter every year for the next year.
That's right.
Where did that come from?
It came from a recommendation from a mentor, and it's been 20 years of letter writing now where I've written to myself. And some of the letters I wasn't happy with. I wanted to burn them, and I did. I was like, you know what? That doesn't serve me anymore. Others became very rich and personal to me, and others I literally wrote into the future what was going to happen, and it did.
Oh, I'm taking that one. I'm stealing that one.
It's a great practice.
Oh, man. So you write yourself a letter every birthday. That is awesome. At what point did you feel like, I got this thing called life. I can do this. I'm good.
Every time I've done that, God's told me that I don't have, God's reminded me that I don't have all of it together in my spiritual sense. I think that the more I learn, the more I realize that I have to learn. And that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom, if you think about it. And knowledge builds the ego and wisdom humbles.
Right.
And so some of the deepest lessons you learn are from the struggles that you go through.
How important are relationships to you?
Very. I've done a good job in some ways with relationships, and had others that were challenged or changed. And your relationships evolve. I think Jim Rohn said you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right.
And so if you're not curating those relationships as you grow, then you're not going to grow.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that you are like necessarily excluding anyone that you were with before, but maybe you spend more time with some other people that you're learning from.
Right.
And that's always a hallmark of relations with me is am I helping someone else grow? And are they helping me grow in terms of just professional, spiritual, personal? Are they the type of individual that, is leaning into life, is seeing bigger things? And that's why I've always enjoyed our conversations. You're a lifelong learner.
Right.
You're a curious person.
Right.
A lot of people sometimes get away from that.
Wow. What's your why? Why you get up every day and fight the good fight?
My why was written in letters to myself 20 years ago. And it's around mentorship. My life work is around creating mentors and scaling mentors, and having a chance to have done that formally with the University of Memphis and the MILE program there for 18 years now almost.
Right.
It's been a huge blessing and honor. but having the chance to support and infuse that into various schools and other institutions that I've had a chance to be a part of has been really rewarding. And so my life work is really about scaling and supporting people to lift up the next generation, to lift while they climb.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to that business you had in college. You know, you had eServe, you sold it, and then you went on to create HRO Partners. Did you know in that moment that entrepreneurship was going to be a part of you, and human resources and entrepreneurship was going to kind of be merged together? Hold on for a second.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to come right back on the journey. Brother Austin's going to tell us how he decided to pull together entrepreneurship, human resources, and then make this amazing company. Listen, stay right there. This is The Journey on the Kazukian Network. You know, success in life is never a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, highs, lows, and every single event, every single step shapes who we become. This season, the journey is stretching out even further. We're stepping into new communities, meeting new voices, sharing new paths, and it's all about reaching more men so we can impact more young boys, letting them know that life is in fact a journey. Think about it. The road is where we grow, where we stumble and rise, where we discover strengths we didn't even know we had. The journey is the teacher. The journey is the gift. And it's in those steps, those moments, those experiences that our future is shaped. And that's why the journey is here, to inspire the next generation. By uplifting young boys, these stories become a guide. They show that obstacles can be overcome. Dreams are worth chasing, and every path, every single path has value. I'm Larry Robinson, your host, and I want you to walk with me as we uncover stories of strength, of passion, of resilience, and of humanity in every community we touch. Because these stories matter, and our boys, they deserve to hear them. Welcome back to The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson, and today we have none other than the great Austin Baker. Now listen, before we left, we had a question. But before I asked him to expound on that question, I got another question. What's your superpower? What's that thing that Austin Baker does better than, let's say, 90% of the people he knows?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it may have evolved a bit over time, but if there's a constant maybe of things that I've always felt most confident, that's a good way to kind of discover what you're good at is, confidence comes from predictability. So what are you doing that has the most predictable outcomes, where you find joy, where you find people leaning into you, where you maybe hear a word? And so I think that probably connecting people and being a good connector is probably something that's been a constant. And that's what led me into kind of the HR leadership, and scaling of organizations is really, how are we connecting our people to the mission? How are we connecting ourselves to our people, and how are we showing up as a leader? You know, what's crazy about that statement you just made is that I told my wife when the first time we hung out, I can't remember where it was, but it was a lot of people in the room. You had invited me to an event, and you connected me to every single person, and your introductions were so next level. I said, man, this guy's the greatest connector I've ever met in my life. Because I had read the book, what's the Malcolm Gladwell book, where he talks about mavens, he talks about connectors. I just read Tipping
that book.
Point, yeah.
Tipping Point.
One of my favorites.
Yes.
I love it.
And I'm telling you, man, that is what I said. I said, baby, this is the most amazing connector I've ever seen in my life. And for you to say that's your superpower, I couldn't do nothing but agree with you. Well, that's very kind to honor me that way. I just really enjoy doing that.
I think that having a chance to honor every person that you meet with the next person you introduce them to is it's a responsibility to treat them well and to set them up for success with whoever you're going to give them a chance to meet. And I've always enjoyed doing that. And I had
wow, that blows me away, man, because I'm telling you, it was a skill. You have a skill that I can corroborate this. You have a skill that I have never seen. I've never met. I mean, there were times when you were introducing me to people that I almost turned around and looked to see if you were talking about somebody else. And I'm like, are you introducing me to somebody? But I mean, you feel just so, I mean, empowered in that relationship when you would connect me with people. I mean, wow, that is great to know that is, something you recognize as your superpower.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So let's go back to your cliffhanger. You launched eServe, you later sold it, and you went in to create HRO Partners. How did you know, or did you ever know, that you were going to be able to put HR and entrepreneurship together?
I think that I didn't fully know that what it would look like, how it would evolve, but the vision I had then was really about trying to help organizations, really optimize their people processes,
right?
Think about people strategy differently, and think about, how to. Some organizations stay in a hunter-gatherer methodology for people, and others take a farming approach.
Okay.
And so here we are, in your studio in a central area for this, in the heart of our breadbasket, but we have a tremendous amount of talent, in the Memphis area.
Absolutely.
One of the youngest populations in the country.
Yeah.
Largest numbers of individuals in the school systems in the country as well. Mm-hmm. And what an opportunity for mentorship, for individuals to take time like you've done in your nonprofit work, to take some people under their wing and show them a world that's bigger than they may have seen before.
Right. Right.
And so I think that being involved with various nonprofit work that was doing workforce development,
right,
it made me want to infuse a farming mentality to talent about reaching well outside of your, kind of interview, hire, onboarding to what happens to pre-boarding, what happens to farming that talent that you're investing in that may come to you or may not. Mm-hmm. And so we sow those seeds in a lot of ways in the community. And it's a great opportunity for organizations that are best in class. They're all doing that.
Right.
They're farming.
Right.
They're farming for talent. They're reaching into colleges, being a part of that with the MILE program. And so I wanted to bring entrepreneurship to help more people take that mindset, to be a leadership nurturer, developer, and to grow talent earlier on.
You've mentioned the MILE program a couple times. Can you break that down a little bit? What does MILE mean, and how would a young person get involved with the MILE program?
The MILE stands for Memphis Institute for Leadership Education. It's a program that's built at the University of Memphis, primarily housed at the College of Business. But we have individuals that are in other domains of their degree that come in to be mentored, and each year they compete to be in the program. And between 40 and 60 students are chosen that are typically sophomores or juniors or sometimes rising seniors, and they are paired with a business mentor. Right. And we bring in leadership speakers that talk to them together and present and teach. And so during those sessions, they participate in group activities, leadership development. We do nonprofit work where they'll go in the community. So several thousand mentors later now, we've had an opportunity with the MILE program to now we have the third generation of mentors, people that were formerly proteges that were mentored by former proteges that are mentors. And so having a chance to look around the room and say, if you were mentored before as a protege, raise your hand, is an awesome way to see people giving back. And so that became a big part of my life work, was the notion of making a difference 100 years from now.
Wow. So talking about your current career, president of HRO Partners, how do you help businesses grow through, I guess a more thorough people strategy? Because you mentioned it earlier, talking about farming and how companies are now farming. But what's your philosophy and how do you focus on that?
We've HRO Partners. We do a lot of work cross section between working with education and workforce development organizations, as well as working with colleges and universities and organizations to really think about talent that they're developing early on differently,
Right.
and also really to right size education programs for what the workforce needs now.
Right.
I mean, AI is changing things so rapidly, and so I've been leaning in and looking at various models that or accelerating even high school experiences to include more college or certificates or other things. I think that there's promise in that. And so those are the things that are making me excited. Projects that we're working on now is how do we help organizations be involved with those organizations. And we have some adult high schools that we've consulted with for a long time in the Memphis area that are expanding right now.
Right.
A great opportunity to be able to.
Are you talking about the Will program?
Yeah. We had the opportunity to be on the founding board of that organization and supporting them and even helping to change legislation and things to help them exist. And it's been a real joy to see so many individuals impacted by that work.
Okay. Often it's said that HR is more about policies and paperwork. How do you make HR more about culture, engagement, and building, strong workplaces?
I think that some of the best HR leaders are really individuals that are meeting people where they are. It's not about the policy or the procedure as much as it is about the people process of development and investment and cultivation.
Right.
And so the leaders that I enjoy working most with are leaning into that, whether I'm helping them with perhaps some benefit strategies that it's supporting them and investing in their people,
Right.
Helping them think about compensation or career development pathways. Those things are really what I most enjoy talking to HR people about, or some of those areas there.
And you've been 40 under 40. You've been the Entrepreneur of the Year, top 40 under 40, served president of SHRM Memphis. How do these leadership roles, how do they impact or guide who you are? And then how has it impacted the youth that you work with?
I think sometimes people will lean into leadership roles as a crown to be worn as opposed to a mantle to be held.
Okay.
And I think that it's always a big responsibility when you've been asked to support and lead
Right.
and give time because it's not about you. It's about the individuals that you're working with. And that's what I've learned in my journey. Sometimes I've done better in other jobs than not, and I've learned from each one of those opportunities to meet people where they are,
Right.
to find out where they're wanting to go, and to, follow that Zig Ziglar quote: "You can get anything you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want."
Right.
And so, how are you doing that as a service-based leader, as a servant leader?
Right.
And it's something that I'm very focused on personally and professionally right now.
Okay. What does it take for a person to be a great HR executive?
I think the role continues to evolve and is changing even faster.
Why? Why is it changing faster?
I think it is. Some of the things are staying the same, but some of the things are changing. You hear about various organizations that are changing their organizational design with AI innovations, and if you are not willing to kind of kill the old version of who you were and disrupt yourself before you're disrupted, then you're not going to survive.
Right.
And so I think you have to have HR leaders who want to lean into talent to help them disrupt their jobs before they're disrupted, to innovate and make each job better than you found it, make each position better than you found it. And so it's about stewardship, and it's about being innovative to be change quicker.
Right.
The pace of change is speeding up.
Right.
Right. And so the maxim is the same: change is good, you go first. That's how everybody feels about change.
Right.
But that's where all your learning and your growth and your opportunities are. And so with the pace of change speeding up, HR professionals are going to have to use the fundamental skills that they've developed and domains over the years to help them accelerate the organization, not decelerate. And so I think that that's what's going to be the hallmark of the best HR executives, is how quickly can they accelerate organizational change in a positive way that is looking at AI as a multiplier, not a divider.
Right.
So how do you do that to create strategic AI-enabled leaders and not in AI replacements.
Wow. Wow. Do you see AI as a benefit to the HR industry, or how do you see AI impacting I know you said speed it up, but ultimately, what does it look like 3, 4, 5 years from now, in your opinion? I know that's hard to look into your crystal ball, but
I think that the good things about AI is they have a chance to help leaders be multipliers of value and creation and great achievements. But it depends on how you use it.
Right.
It all depends on how we use it, and I think that the dangers on that side of AI for organizations is to use it in such a way where it's it's not serving the greater good.
Right.
And taking the time to really, lean into your people with your AI strategy to help them embrace and support the change that they want is where we're at.
Okay. Now, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from all the entrepreneurship options you've had, the work you've done? What are some of those lessons that you can take with you, and what do you call them, transferable skills?
I think, there's been a lot of leaders that have leaned into me over the years from a mentorship perspective. And
Right.
I've learned so much from individuals that I've had a chance to mentor. And so I think that, really going back to meeting people where they are and understanding where they're trying to go and how you can help them get there is a big hallmark of for leadership, skill that really is going to serve you long term.
Right.
It's going to be a multiplier longer term. And so, leaning into my love of connecting people
Right.
is about that. It's like, well, how do I connect them to the next best version of themselves?
Right.
And how do I help them write into existence their own letter for who they're going to be, where they're going to go, the difference they're going to make in the world. For me, the difference I want to make is, 100 years from now, I want people to have woken up and be rewarded by a mentoring relationship that they would have never been the same without.
Right.
And so that's where I'm going, and that's what I want to help other people do.
I'm going to take you back to Cordova. You're going into your house. I want you to picture your house. You walk in the door and you see young Austin sitting there at the table. What would you today say to young Austin?
I think I would tell him to make sure he takes time to make another banana pudding with my grandmother. One of my favorite questions is to ask people, what bite of food has the most memories for you?
Uh-huh.
And I think that I have so many memories of being with my grandmother, my meemaw on the farm, and my grandmother on my mother's side. We were always cooking something in the kitchen, and I think I would have taken a little more time to learn their story.
Right.
And have taken time to write down more of the things they were telling me.
Wow, that's powerful. Because I can think of my grandmother, my great-grandmother, that I would have absolutely loved to have spent more time with and just listened to them and talked about who they were and what their lives were like. You also talk about doing well while doing good. That's kind of like one of your statements.
It is. It's a mantra. So
expand on that for me.
For me, doing well by doing good as a mantra is really about lifting while you climb and taking time to pay your gifts forward. Mm-hmm. I've never not gotten a great return out of doing that.
Right.
It comes back around. I believe that some people are put on this earth to teach the rest of us how not to act.
Right.
I don't want to be one of those people. Right. So if when I'm gone, I want people to have been helped while I was here. Just simple as that. And so I think that a lot of times we are focused so much on our career and money that sometimes we have a hole in our lives that we don't know what it is. We try to fill it with other things, and so our greatest call is to love each other, and so for me, it's mission to do that. How do I show that in the work that I'm doing, whether it be in a school that I'm supporting and investing in, or young talent I'm mentoring, or otherwise, that's what I found my heart is always more full when I do that.
Right.
And so in that way, it's a little selfish.
Right.
But in other ways, I just think that a lot of people sometimes they don't know what's missing, and they're not serving enough.
I got you. Well, listen, there's a lot of young people that are watching you or us right now. I want you to speak directly into that camera and leave them with a Austin Bakerism that they can take with them from this moment that they've spent with us.
Sure. Well, I would encourage you to start writing to yourself. Take a moment to write the next version of you into existence. The best form of time travel you can find is from your own heart. Taking time to write down what you want out of life, and to believe that you're going to take the next best step. The change that you want, nothing will change until things change. And so all the changes that you want, they look like pain, they look like early mornings, they look like learning, they look like something that's hard to do, because if you're not challenging yourself to do that, then you're not going to grow into the next best version of you. So embrace the challenges in front of you as great learnings, and write the next chapter into your own life.
Wow. Listen, appreciate where you are in your journey, even if it's not where you want to be. Every season has a purpose. That's from an unknown author, but I want you to realize that it's up to you. It's up to you to make those seasons meaningful and gain what God has given you from those seasons. So listen, I'm Larry Robinson, and I want to thank my good friend Austin Baker for sharing with us today and sharing your journey. So listen, we're going to keep bringing them. We're going to keep bringing them. We'll see you next time on The Journey. Take care.